This is Jessica Brothers.
And Shawn C O'Niel on the 4 Degrees of Fortitude podcast,
where we believe in living a lifestyle that leads to a legendary legacy.
If you're ready to rock,
I'm ready to roll.
Let's go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Get What You Want podcast with your host, Jessica Brothers. And we have Shawn O'Niel here with us today. We have our special series called Fortitude. Fortitude is all about creating a legacy for yourself. And I am so blessed to be side by side here with my partner, Shawn O'Niel. Shawn C O'Niel, MBA, to be specific. Welcome, Shawn.
Hey, Jessica, thanks for having me. Super excited to go down this path with you because, you and I, since we met, we've had great conversations, and something out of that conversation has really spurred into something that's life-changing for both of us. So I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shawn and I are coming up. We're going to be launching something together very shortly, which I'm excited about. Hopefully he is too, but more importantly, hopefully everyone is going to be excited about it as well, get some value from it. There's a lot of buzz going on about the word legacy. I've been hearing it. Shawn, have you been hearing that a lot lately?
Yeah, you do hear that now. And I think because here's the reason. I think, a lot of our parents are baby boomers. Like, there's a huge population now. And so they're talking about the largest transfer of wealth, right? So people are talking about legacy in this context of wealth or in transferring from one generation to the next. And then you have a lot of the people who are what I call in the club, who do the work, right? Who are those people who are always doing the self-development and the professional development. And that word has come up a lot lately because that culture has elevated, right? And as people grow and strive, now they're looking for the next thing. Like, how do I take this to the ultimate level?
Yeah, absolutely. That's, I believe people are waking up more to that, more so than ever. But yeah, the word legacy has really been, even just yesterday, I was at a luncheon, and it's funny. I heard the word legacy for the first time in conversation that day. And I'm like, you know what? That's really funny that that word's coming up. And then I heard it again. I'm like, I'm going to count how many times the word legacy happens in this 3 hours that I'm at this event. And no lie, it came up 14 times. 14 times the word was spoke in 3 hours from the people that I was around.
Could be because you're looking for it. Remember, once you're looking for something, you find it, right? That's part of focus.
So true. It's so true, right?
And it's also something that you've been talking about lately too. So you are out looking for that as well.
Yes, we attract it, right? And when we think about things, whatever we think about most, we do attract into our world. That is true. And hearing it yesterday, I am looking for it. And the fact that I counted it, obviously I really was looking for it. I've been attracting it. So let's talk about what that word legacy means. What does it mean to you, Shawn? What does it mean someone who doesn't really understand what legacy really is? What should it mean to them too? But for you personally, what's it mean for you, Shawn?
Yeah. So again, I think this is a very personal topic, and it's going to be different for everybody. And for me, I kind of penned out a definition because I was just thinking about this, and it's really a culmination of my entire life's experience, my entire life's work, refocused so that my purpose and my passion can live on in perpetuity. And so let me back up. What does that mean? How do I make a lasting impact on the world, right? Because I don't just want to come here, show up, and just use the earth and peace out, right? I literally want to come here and leave a lasting impact. Some people do this through their children, but honestly, they're all individual people on their own, right? I want them to have their own growth journey and have their own life experience and figure out what the legacy is to them. So for me, I've had so many amazing experiences in my life. I've been blessed to be in many different careers, but from the very beginning, I was always looking for that next level, right? Because I got exposed to people like John Maxwell, who talks about legacy and significance, right? If you're somebody who's always working on yourself, well, good to great just isn't good enough, right? What's better than great? Excellence? What's better than that? Significance? where is the end game for people like you and I who do this work? And for me, thinking about this a lot lately, it's literally putting together, being grateful that I've had all these wonderful experiences, putting that together and giving all of my gratitude, all of my passion and passing that on. Like, how do I leave an impact with the gifts that have been given to me?
Yes.
And so that's what I'm building now with you is my legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do also believe that is a personal thing. And it should be personal to each person. Legacy is really overall your lasting impression, right? The impression you leave on this earth when you're no longer on this earth. That is your legacy. And for me personally, that is, I have a huge desire to make a world impact, really. That when I am no longer on this earth, that things changed because of what I've said, what I've done, and not just me, but helping others do it as well. Having influence over charities or groups of people or movements where I can give them a perspective where it shifts a little bit of what they do and creates that ripple effect. Okay. For me, that's the legacy I want to leave. People talk about money, and yes, money is a tool, so I can do all that. 100%. That I'm not going to say that money's not important. It's very freaking important. It is, because without the money, I don't have the tools to do what I need to do, for sure. But it's not my number one focus. I truly want the earth to be a better place than when I came on it. Mainly for all the kids, especially, my son, your kids, anyone's kids, from anyone who's listening to this. If we can make a better world for them, if I can help make an impact to make a better world for them, that's the legacy I want to leave. I want people to say, when they say Jessica Brothers, wow, she really helped influence a large amount of people so that they can do what they do today. That's the legacy I truly want to leave.
So let me ask you this, because here's where we get laser focused, right? Because here's really where the rubber meets the road. Do you have extreme clarity on your legacy, what it looks like? Do you?
Yeah, I believe I do so more now than ever. And I believe that's ever going to be changing. I believe that every year, every month, every day, I'm a different person. I really am, because of the work that I do every single morning. I'm always growing. I'm always learning. I stumble just to stand back up and be like, okay, I see that rock now. Next time I'm going to jump over it, or I'm going to pick it up and move it out of the way, or I'm going to carry it with me until I feel I need it. But now today I have more clarity than I did yesterday. And tomorrow I know I'll have even more.
Because that's important. Because the difference between, building a legacy and just dreaming about it, right, is actually having a plan. Having a plan, you actually have to have a destination in mind in order to build a pathway there. So that's why this is a really good time for us to actually start this conversation, because you and I are getting crystal clear on our legacies, and we're in the process of building that, right? So this entire experience that we're going to have on this podcast is really going to catalog this experience that we're doing together, right? Yeah. So I have always known personally that I wanted to have an impact. For me, I have very specific things, being a kid who grew up without parents, one, because my mom was always working, and my dad, he left when I was 3 years old. So I really never had my parents around, right? So for me, one of my passion projects is underprivileged children. Okay. I've always had a passion. That's why I've coached youth sports, right? So many years, because, I know if it wasn't for the coaches that I had, things would have been completely different in my life. Right. So I believe in not necessarily giving a hand out, right, but more along the lines of giving a hand up. And so the things that we do, the things that I do, I want to have a lasting effect, right? So when we're talking about our projects that we're passionate about, not only do we want to write a check, right? We want to bring our experience our influence, our connections, our passion, our, inner circle. We want to bring the entire gang, because that's how you make a massive impact, right? That's how you change lives. And Jessica, I know you and I have both done this, but we've saved at least that one person, right? That one person who was, for me, veteran suicide is a big thing, right? So I've saved somebody, right? Because I got down in the trenches with him and cried with him, right? And showed him the same steps that I used to get out of that tunnel. There's nothing more satisfying in this life, right, when you help other people win.
So true. It's so true.
So abundance is giving everything away. That's what abundance is, giving it all away, right? Because that's how the universe pays you back. It fills your soul. Yes.
It's the flow, right? If you hold on to everything, you stop that flow. But the more you give away, the more you receive. And how you give it out is how you receive it too. So that intention is huge. If you give away, and people are like, well, how you give away from a broken place? Well, a lot of people do. We give away emotions. We give away our power. We give away things that we own with strings attached, right? We'll give away our love with strings attached. That is giving away, and you're going to receive that back in that same way. But when you give away and become unconditional with an intention from the heart, you do it from pure love, unconditional love. That is how you receive back. And that's something I've learned greatly, especially in my past year and a half, almost 2 years of life. That's what I've really gotten out of, is when I learn to be unconditional with myself. Number one, unconditional with myself. When I can be unconditional with myself, then and only then can I be unconditional in the way that I give out. And then I can receive unconditionally. And it keeps that nice, beautiful loop going. Because when I receive unconditionally, I can remain unconditional within myself. And then I can give it, and then I can receive it. And it's that nice flow.
It's a nice flow, right? But, Jess, I also want you to think about this. You and I just didn't arrive at this place.
That's
right?
true.
This has taken a lot of work for both of us.
Yes.
And so I'm going to bring up a couple big points, right? First, the reason why Jessica and I immediately connected wasn't anything romantic or anything like that. It was an energy, because I actually this year had a life-changing experience. Well, I was always assumed that I was an alpha male, right? I'm a big, strong guy, leadership qualities, good athlete, whatever. But when I realized I'm something called a Sigma, and it blew my mind because it's completely different. And I've always felt different than everyone else. I always kind of felt, different, separate, right? Didn't quite fit in. And once I learned what I was on a search for other people that were like me. And once I did a deeper dive into those characteristics and those character traits, soon as I was in a room with Jessica, our energies connected, right? And I immediately knew, who she was. So now her and I, we can have conversations and we just understand things because we have those similar thought processes, right? And so the reason why I bring all this up, I know it's long-winded, right?
It's great.
But to build a legacy, right? You need to be self-aware. You need to know who you are. You need to do all that inside work first, right? And so that's a trait that you and I have, is that self-awareness, because that puts you in a healthy place. Because once you identify what your weaknesses are, right? We delegate those, right? And our strengths, we focus on those. Once we understand, and then we communicate that in an effective way to the people who are in our circle, that's where we get that harmony, that balance. So how do you go from here where you're talking about a legacy? This is a question to you because I already have the answer, but how do you go from, I have this seed in my mind, to getting to that location? For me, 20 years down the road, like, how do I get from here to there?
So you're talking about how you get from right now to where you want to be. That's great. I love that question. Let's break it down to the base of it. let's break it down to the base, because obviously it's going to look different for everyone. And I want to break it down to a base that everyone should follow. Number one, always be open to being a student and a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Don't close yourself off from either. You always got to be learning and teaching. You always have to come from a place of unconditional love as well. That's really important. And along that, you have to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you're going to get stuck in that loop of discomfort or comfort, and never grow. So surrounding yourself with the people who are on a similar mission, setting goals, and I even hate to say setting goals because it sounds so cliche. It really does. How about benchmarks?
No, but
stepping stones.
It's not though, because they're metrics, right? When we set those goals.
There you go, metrics. I like that word better. Set the metrics. And also be open that those metrics could change depending on the journey too. But you have to give yourself grace too. You do. You have to give yourself grace.
This is where we debate.
Yes, we do. And that's okay. Because this is what's going to make this so interesting. So making sure you're coming from a place within yourself where you have to feel good about yourself. You have to know where you're going. And the only way to know where you're going is to know who the hell you are. And you have to have those metrics in place. Really, I'm sure you have some things to add here that I'm not thinking of, but those three things I believe will get you to where you want to go. I really do, because everything's always, what I found is always changing. So
you said clarity coming from a place of love, or
yes.
Being a student, you're having clarity.
Yes.
And then you said coming from a place of love.
Yes.
Ultimately to your goal, right?
And your metrics. Yep. Ultimate to your goal. Yes. Yes.
So for me, right, I'm a logic-based thinker. So for me, everything is the plan. And so how I start with the legacies, I literally sit down and write my epitaph. I write what was said of him, right? What was said by him. I write the epitaph on my tombstone. And then I start picturing my life. I call it a head to dead. It's pretty morbid, right? But what did my life look like? Where did I live? How did I feel? Who was I surrounded by? What impacts I have in the world? What became of the people that I invested in? And then I start really, really, really looking at what it takes to get there. And for me, I know exactly what it looks like. I know where I'm living. I know where my residences are. I know what dollar amount. I know exactly how I'm going to get there. Matter of fact, I have even chunked down to, I know what I'm doing tomorrow to get to that place 20 years from now, because I have that much precision focus, that much clarity on my legacy. I know where I'm going. So now I've fallen in love with the journey, right? Because the destination, I already know where I'm going to end up. I'm just going to keep following this path. And you're right. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep making minor in-flight adjustments according to new knowledge, new lessons, new learning. Like right now, I'm, learning, Stoic philosophy, so I can be more mindful, more, just more happy in my own space. But the destination is the ultimate target, right? Laser focus. And for me, that includes a roadmap on how to get there, right down to, like our podcast, right? The 4 degrees of fortitude. What do I have to do to my body? What do I have to do to my finances? What do I have to do to my relationships? What does the plan look like? Where's my mindset at? That is a skill set that can be taught. Can't teach you what the destination looks like.
Right.
But we can share the process on how to get there, right? On how to actually follow a template to get from where you are now to this amazing legacy, right? And it doesn't have to be like yours and mine. And, fair disclosure, Jess and I have a really big project, and it makes some people laugh. But then, like anything else, when you break it down and you chunk it down into littler steps, we're already doing those things. Then we're just going to do them consistently. And it's just one step in front of another.
Yes.
So when you break things down and you chunk it down, a legacy is massive, right? $1 billion empire is massive. You think, oh my God, that's overwhelming. But no, tomorrow I have to get up and take 2 quality trades. That's it, right? That's all I have to do. I have to go to the gym twice. I have to drink my water. I have to do this. And the rest will take care of itself because I know where I'm going and because I'm going to plan the journey to get there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think anyone listening right now or watching can quickly see that, you know, we each have different words to use to get us to the place. And this teaches me and hopefully everyone listening that this is why the journey shouldn't be alone, because I have my words and my thought process and my way of getting to my vision. And Shawn has his way. They both get us to the vision, and we both are constructed a different way. Our thought processes are slightly different. So when you bring people, obviously we have the same mission and we have the same outcome that we want. But when you bring us together and other people like us together, it's powerful. It's freaking powerful.
I use the word synergy, but I think you use a different word. But really, you know, I called it when you add 1 + 1 it equals 3 or more. That's synergy. But when you add
1 equals 11.
So exactly, right. And that's a good point, because there's a lot of things. My vision is much bigger than me. My legacy is so much bigger than me. I could not do it alone, right? Because I have a very big legacy, I have a very big vision. And so Jessica's right. You need people, right? You need the right people. You need the right people.
Yeah, for sure.
The wrong people are equally as damaging as having the right people. Trust me.
It's
so
true.
You surround yourself with high quality people only, like-minded, where you share the same values and mindset, right? And listen, you don't have to think the same, but you both have to have the ability to think, right? Critical thought is necessary in any quality relationship. Mm-hmm. So when you put all these wonderful tools together, great heart, you know, great statistician, right? How do you say that? Strategist, an IT guy, right? You put all these elements together. When you put all the things that you don't have, like I said before, you delegate your weaknesses. Prime point. Jessica loves being on that stage talking to people, right?
Yes. I love connecting with people.
I get butt sweat.
Love it. Love the realness. Oh, man.
True authenticity. Hey, listen, I'm not going to hold back, but no kidding. I get all sweaty. I lose my mind. I have no idea what I say on stage. I've had to go up there a number of times because of my career, lose my mind. So my point is, you got to have good people, got to be the right people, and you got to kind of be going in the same direction, right? Because many hands make light work.
Yeah.
And we are all smarter together than any one of us individually.
That is very true. And I'm going to ask the question that everyone's thinking right now. Okay, Shawn, you're on stage. Do you have butt sweat?
No, this is just me and you having a conversation. He put me in front of 100 people, though, boy, I'll tell you. So I only wear black now.
That is great. That is so great. We're getting some chuckles out of him. I love it. Absolutely love it. Phenomenal. So, all right, let's talk about, we just talked about where we want to go, how we're going to get there, but let's talk about a little bit about how we got to where we are right now. Because obviously we didn't just wake up one morning and be like, oh, we need to be around good people, or these people are not helping me get to this place, and this habit I'm doing, isn't helping. How did we get to where we are today to realize, to be at that point, to know where we're going, right? Because
sounds like a great segue for the next episode, because that's a long conversation.
let's tell everyone that, it's not an overnight thing. It's not an overnight thing. Right.
Guys, so for those of you who are listening, or those of you who are watching, the reality is I have been homeless in my life more than once. True story. let's see, what is it? A little over 4 years ago. I just had my 4-year soberversary, but 4 years ago when I had my rock bottom event, I didn't even have the ability to stand in front of the judge or form a complete sentence on my own. So that was then, right? That was a completely different man. That was a completely different chapter, and that was a completely different book. And that's the thing, right? That's what life is all about. Just because you had a story in the past, does not mean it is your future, right? So how did we get here and how we're going to build a legacy is a long story. And it is not one that happens overnight. And if it's a good story, like it's a good life, there are ups and downs and twists and turns, because quite honestly, that's what life is about. That's what makes it exciting.
Sure does. It sure does. And it couldn't be more true that your past does not define your now or your future. Instead, and I used to allow it to define me. I've been depressed. I've had eating addictions. I've, a lot of negative self-talk. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. It was so bad. I was not the person I definitely am today, but I'm grateful for all that. I'm very grateful, because if I didn't go through all those challenges, I wouldn't have learned what I don't want. I wouldn't have learned all this strength to climb out of that, to know more of what I do want, and to appreciate it so much and want more and more and more of it. And I really believe that everything I've been through, all my adversities is a huge part of the reason why I want to make such a big worldwide change. Because when you feel good, you feel really freaking good. You feel really freaking good. And most people don't get that opportunity. They really don't.
Jess, we've talked about that too, right? The teacher, the student, and the butterfly.
Yes.
Talking about the struggle is necessary for success. And here's the quick story.
Yes.
This little girl was learning about butterflies in her science class. And so she was out wandering around playing after school one day, and she saw this butterfly attempting to hatch from its cocoon. And it was sitting there fluttering its little wings and trying to break out of this cocoon. And it was struggling. And so this little girl felt bad, and she went over and she just popped the little cocoon open. The butterfly popped out, tried to fly away, fell over and died. The little girl was horrified and terribly upset. And when she told the teacher about it, the teacher explained, well, that butterfly needs the struggle to build up the lactic acid to have the muscles necessary for flight. Without the struggle, it'll never have the success of flight, and therefore it'll die. So you will find success story after success story after success story, which is built all on struggle, right? I believe, and this is me, maybe because this is my path, but I believe the losses, the lessons, the downs, the failures, I believe that is necessary tuition, right? For Success University. I really do, because that's where you learn. That's where you learn.
It's so true. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I believe the bigger your challenges, the bigger your success is possible. I really do. I really do.
And so maybe next time we'll talk about our individual struggles and challenges and how we got to this place, right? Because that is a good story.
Yeah, that's many stories. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Shawn, for being on with me today. Actually, for us being on together. How about that? This is our series, The 4 Degrees of Fortitude. I love that. We're going to have so much fun.
We're going to do it. This is going to be fun. This is going
to be great. Awesome, everyone. Thank you for listening in, watching in. We appreciate you choosing your time with us today. If you like what you heard or like what you saw, definitely hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, whatever platform you're watching this on. We appreciate you so much. Rock your day today. Love yourself today. That's what it's about, man. Adios.
See you next time.